Hi, welcome to the Witty Entrepreneur. I am Jennifer Bassman, the Witty Entrepreneur, also known as the Witty Entrepreneur. I am so glad that you have joined me today. I know you have a lot of options on the internet these days and a lot of people talking at you. So believe me, it is an honor that you chose to be here. Today, I'm actually pretty stinking excited about talking today because we're going to talk about, we're going to kind of ask all of ourselves, are we suckers? Are you a sucker? Do you live for drama? Do you seek drama? Do you feel like you can't say no to the very things that actually drain you or keep you from being productive? All very relevant questions, all questions I've had to ask and answer myself. So I'm thrilled that you're here to work on this with me. Sorry, I was making sure that my phone didn't interrupt like it usually does right about this time. But I'm also here to share one of my secrets to saying no, something that sticks with me, something that works nearly every stinking time for me. But before we get started with that, if this is the first time that you're joining me today, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here and you've joined my community, our community. I am a small business burnout master, or you can just take the small business off there. I am a burnout master. What does that mean exactly? It means that I help others that are burned out, whether they own a small business or not, work through and conquer their burnout so that they can run a business or just run their life in a way that fulfills them instead of draining them, because that's what burnout does. It drains us. I am a certified CliftonStrengths coach, and I love helping people recognize what their strengths are and then implementing those strengths so that they can be more productive, so that they can apply them and lose those feelings of overwhelm and fears of failure. Because that's what Strength Finders does. It actually leads you down your path to success. It tells you what you do best. Here on these lives, we talk about all the things that end up affecting a burned out mindset. Even if we don't talk directly about burnout, we talk about the challenges, the changes, the solutions, and ideas that all play a role in keeping us burned out or actually recovering and getting out of burnout. Right now, we are actually in the month of November, in case you didn't notice. Hey, some of us are slower than others. I half the time don't know what day or date it is, thanks to the pandemic, right? But I'm actually calling November NOW-vember. I'm choosing to think about something else and to focus on something else. And I'm encouraging you to do the same thing. I'm encouraging you to work on being present by saying no to the things that distract you or take away from what can keep you in the moment or what is important to you. And this was a hard lesson for me to learn, and it was one of the things that I know was keeping me in burnout mode. And I know that I missed out on a lot of memories and a lot of fun opportunities or experiences because I was just not present in the moment. I wasn't right there where I was supposed to be because I was too busy worrying about where I wasn't, what I wasn't doing, who I wasn't with, who I was making unhappy, who I wasn't pleasing. Or if I wasn't working on something for somebody that I had promised to do. Or sometimes I was even thinking ahead to my never-ending and overcommitted calendars and to-do lists, which I know a lot of other people also struggle with. Each week we're going to tackle a different concept or a different idea that has to do with NOW-vember, saying no so that we can stay present and stay in the now. This week, we are learning when we need to say no and what that actually looks like. Next week, which I'm totally excited about next week because this one was actually fun for me when I was learning to do this for the first time. Next week, we're going to focus on, do I have to? We're going to answer that question because we want to stop doing the things that don't serve us. So you want to stop doing the things that don't serve you. And week 3, we're going to talk about, this one's also going to be kind of fun, but it's tough to say no when you really care what other people think. So we're going to walk through that, talk through that, come up with some solutions, learn how to kind of tune out the naysayers, tune out the guilt, etc. And the 4th week, the last week of NOW-vember, we're going to talk about new year, new you, what's coming ahead, how to get more of what you want by saying no. It's almost like doing more by doing less. But we'll get there. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's stay right now. Let's stay in the present. Let's talk about right now, learning how to say no, learning when it's the right time to say no and when it's appropriate. And I'm loving this topic, and you've probably seen some posts on my Facebook page throughout the week. I've been trying to give you some motivation, some ideas, even sharing some tips and tricks, some things that have helped me, worked for me. But it's so easy. It is so stinking easy to get sucked into worrying and thinking about what you would like to be getting done instead of what you're presently supposed to be doing. And for some of us, and okay, that's me, I often get sucked into the drama. Hello, elections. Yesterday was actually a prime example of this happening, to distract me from what I actually need to be doing. And when I'm getting sucked into the drama, I'm still worrying. So I kind of compound what's actually happening to me, which isn't good. But we wouldn't have so much to worry about or stress out about if we actually would treat the root of the problem, which is our inability to say no to people. And I am becoming a no queen. I flex my no muscles quite frequently, and I would love to see you flex your no muscle quite a bit more. And I want to help you get to that point of flexing your no muscle quite a bit more. Before we go any further, I do want to say I recognize how hard it is to say no, that there's all kinds of reasons not to say it, that there are all kinds of things that get in the way. It's not always as simply as saying, no, I don't want to, or I can't, or no, go away, beat it, nerd, however it is that you say no to people. I recognize that is difficult to do. And that is why we are having these conversations. This is why I'm talking to you about saying no, giving you different opportunities and different ideas and different ways to actually start incorporating that into your life and making it possible for you. Because it is possible, no matter how much of a doormat, no matter how much of a people pleaser you are, it is possible. And especially with the holidays coming up, it is going to become even more important for you to flex that no muscle and get it into shape, because we all know what the holidays mean: family, good times. So let's start working on it this month. Let's work on it ahead of Thanksgiving, ahead of Christmas, so that we're ready with that no, we're ready to go. But, I will always put my caveat in here that I will always be a sucker for my dogs, for your dogs, for any dogs in general. Whatever they want, I'm going to stop whatever I'm doing. I'm going to get sucked into their drama, their begging, their sweet faces. Dogs will always be my kryptonite. I will never be able to say no to a dog. So, I'm sure we've all got a kryptonite. There's just one thing that's just always going to be in the way of you saying no. And you know what? That's okay. Don't worry about it. We've all got one. So dogs are my thing. But back to saying no. I mean, there's a variety of reasons that we won't do it, right? There's a variety of reasons we can't or we won't say no to people. Guilt, decision fatigue, feeling of overwhelm. It's just one more thing you've got to do. All the emotions that come with it. There's a lot of discomfort. You have a lack of reasons or excuses to say no. But whatever the reason is, it all comes down to the fact that you don't know your why. This is my secret sauce, people. This is what I'm talking about, is that you need to know your why. You need to understand what is important for you in order to be present, what your priorities are, or see a clear path to your goals. Because when you see those things, when you have your why, the things that are extracurriculars or extras or less meaningful, it's easier to say no to them because you can see how they just don't fit into your day. They don't fit into your schedule. They don't align with your priorities or with your goals. They're not going to move you forward. And if you know these things and you accept them as your truth, it would be a lot easier because your mind is already made up. When you know your why, your mind is already made up before any of the reasons why it's hard to say no even come up or come into play. And when you get clear on your why, when you get really clear on your why, your internal motivation to stay focused on your goals, the asks and the requests and all the random things that start coming up, that start to be the time sucks or the drains on your energy, become even less appealing, and they become a lot easier to turn down. So think about that for just a minute. Even when we sign off on this video, which I'm hoping to make short and sweet because I know you're all busy. But here's a great example. Yesterday, I shared my list that almost looks like a decision tree. And let me see if I can share my screen quickly so you can see what I'm talking about, and you can actually go on my Facebook page and pull this up for yourself. But this is my list of when I'm going to say yes and when I'm going to say no. Some of them are questions, some of them are statements, but this is when I use this list. This is one of the lists, I should say. I have a couple of them. I'm a big list person, in case you haven't figured that out quite yet about me. But I use this when I am having trouble saying no. So I refer back to this just kind of as a reminder. Your list could look a lot different than mine, and you know what? That's okay. But what's important is that it is focused on you, and it's the things that are reminding you what's important to you. The things that are important to me may not be as important to you. So definitely just use that as a starting point, a way to get started, a way to get focused, and add or subtract as it's appropriate and, as it's more meaningful for you. The other thing that helps me, I should say no, are my Clifton strengths, and knowing my Clifton strengths, knowing what my strengths are, what my top strengths are, and what I need to do to remain focused on the very strengths that make me successful and keep me happy. So that's another tool, another tip or trick. And I refer to strengths a lot because I'm a Clifton Strengths coach, and I'm super adamant about you taking a Clifton Strengths assessment, getting to know what your strengths are, getting to know your strengths, and getting focused on those, because they will solve a lot of problems. Knowing your strengths will solve a lot of problems. But here's one more thing that I want you to consider, and this is where a little bit of the tough love comes in for some of us, is that you have to want to and be ready to say no. And if you aren't there mentally, you won't consistently choose to protect your time and energy. So your mind has to line up with your mouth, if that's, kind of a way to think about it. And sometimes this involves hard work and hard decisions, dealing with difficult people or tough feelings and tough feelings and emotions to kind of say no at first and get some things out of the way. But however you want to think about it, once you do this work and once you build your no muscle, the difficulty lessens and you're clearer and you're doing the things you actually want to do instead of being tied to commitments that just drag you down and drain your energy. When you're doing this and you're building your no muscle and you're actually saying no to people or saying no to activities or things that don't serve you, you're going to see how much quicker you move towards your goals and, maintain your priorities, as well as preserving all that energy that we waste getting involved in the drama and, worrying about saying no and all the icky stuff that comes with it. But, the most important thing, I think, when it comes to saying no, is that it keeps you present. It keeps you in the now. And especially right now when we're coming up on the holiday season and we want to be present for those special moments with our family and our friends. And we're going to be spending our holidays just a little bit differently this year. Being present is going to be even more important. So I want to keep you in the now in November. And if you're really, really ready to get out of this drama mode that some of us are in, and you want to learn to say no, then start working on your why. Write down your list of whys. Consider the most common scenarios that always seem to sucker you into saying yes. That every time it happens, you're like, oh my God, why do I get suckered into this every time? Most of the time, it's because we're not prepared. We're not prepared to say no. Prepare yourself to say no. There are common scenarios that keep coming up that you can prepare for, and then you can practice. As your part of the preparation is to practice saying no. Hear it coming out of your mouth. Feel how it comes out of your mouth so that the first time you're saying it to somebody, It doesn't feel strange. It doesn't feel weird. It doesn't get all awkward. You know what it looks like. You know what it sounds like. You know how it feels, and you are perfectly comfortable with it. And make your things that are important enough to you to say yes to, and make your list of things, I should say, that are important enough for you to say yes to, and the things that you know that you need to say no to in order to be present. So join me this month in NOW-vember by saying no to living, by saying no so that you can live in the now and be present for others. And I know it's tough to say no. I know that's hard. But when you start practicing it, when you start, building your habit, when you start doing things over and over again, you're going to see how the drama just kind of drifts away. It's not even present. It's actually not even a choice, which is actually pretty darn exciting. But I'm glad you joined me today. As always, I would love to hear your thoughts and hear what you're thinking about saying no. What's your why? Share your why with me below. Share with others. Let's start talking in this community so that we can support each other. What are your favorite tips and tricks when it comes to saying no? How are you going to work towards being present this holiday season? Would love to hear that. As always, you can reach me here, and you can also reach me at jennifer@jenniferbassman.com. Be sure to go to Amazon, check out my book, Stop Being a Doormat. It's all about building boundaries, and saying no is part of building boundaries. It's part of that whole process. But I'm glad you were here today, and I hope you have a good one. Would love to hear from you.